was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Bet a bug called his wealth, that's a lie. They spin, I signed my soul away just to let the wolf in. First surge was surgical, a chemical high. Now I'm chasing goals across a blue-lit sky. Claimed I wasn't desperate, then I liquidated life. That's how a man turns a future into a knife. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the mark, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend has a lie when it seals your fate. Then the screen bled black with a velvet sheen, a loading bar stuttering predatory. Pick a silhouette of birds and a pinch drop of whistles, with a voice like a grift and a tongue full of whistles. Salutations, he hissed, I'm down out to check the craving and I engineer the high. You've been mainlining hope on a high, it's low. Now I've come to repossess everything you own. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Austerity's recreation, control. Here I've got a message from the village she stole. So my son's merged with power is a relic. He sneered with a grin. I've mapped every fixture and I'm calling right. One tap for the needle, two taps for the rope, three taps to trade your rent for a thimble of hope. Till I know the gates are clear, but my brother Chris Sinners, no more shining good themselves. Small the worst tennis, so the falsiest tennis. The dentist for the bank, it wasn't meant of first currency. This wasn't to apprentice in the wars. Hey, the house never makes and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You won't play in the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Offer the promise of venomous lure, wager your survival, that's the only cure. I force a hollow laughter, mask the mountain dread, while the digits in my battles turn to violent red. Offending the streets of my heart and the truth, baby, I get shot by the plane of the rules. Just the zombies and my bird, it's not a chain, it was a cheat. It's just the birds of the earth, the secret problem, not the penis. It's a chowman in the preto that I wasn't calling it sport. And body of your walls in the light. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You won't play in the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. The exorcism, the hard-earned truth, kill the app, break the cycle, reclaim your youth. If the threat feels like a parasite feeding on your chest, it's a hijack house and uninvited guest. I was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Bet a bug called his wealth, that's a lie. They spin.
Boy, that's a very quick fade. I need to adjust that because it's like too fast, just going bam, bam. Good morning, fellas and gals out there in the wonderful world of the interwebs. We've made it to another Friday, kids, and boy, what a week it's been. And I mean that in the most best way possible. It's been a good week on my end. I hope it's been good for yours as well. But yeah, so it's Friday, February the 6th. We are running headlong into this thing called 2026, aren't we? But it's been fun. I've enjoyed it so far. And yeah, and again, it's like the morning starts by way of like amazement again when it comes to the things that the tools can allow you to do at like super speed, like the show intro song today. That was like uber super fast because it occurred all together from tip to top and to broadcast in like 15 minutes. I was outside with Jack the Wonder Dog, and I was like, what would be something to ponder, to think about, to make funny this weekend, or for this weekend? And remember that it is the foosball weekend, the big Super Bowl foosball. And God love you if you love it. And I know I appreciate the cultural significance of the gatherings. I'm just, I don't know. I've never been a big Super Bowl guy. You know, it's like if I got together with some friends or something for like, you know, whatever, The halftime shows, okay, sure. The commercials used to be. I don't know anymore. I don't know how funny they still are. Don't know. But I'll check it out this weekend. I guess I will. But anyway, excuse me, it's a nice morning out there. 41, sunny. Here in my neck at the cyberspace, doing the things, floating the headlines. Didn't see anything of any significance, really, that was like not part of the normal status quo of everything that we get. Let's see here what we've got. Oh, let's see if this is this morning's. Come on. But yeah, pretty much kind of the same out there. There we go. Where are we at? Where are we at? Yeah, there's now this is an interesting story that I'm not 100. I'm not very familiar with this one. They're saying that it was a thing. Well, and yeah, good morning to you, my good pal Gar the Ghoul, host of Horrible Horror on Saturday nights on Twitch TV. Be sure you check that out, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, what is this? I don't need this. No, I'm not subscribing to your crap. I'm not interested. I'm not going to log in. See, check this out. See, and this is like when it comes to like paywalls, everybody's got to get paid. I get that. But I'm not a fan of this particular method. It's like, I don't know, there's something archaic about the model. But anyway, what I was looking into, the AI made it up legal trouble cautionary tale. Apparently, a prior Arkansas case involving sanctions over AI generated fake citations is still being used as a warning example in the region's legal news ecosystem. Okay, well, bummer, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, otherwise, though, it's all pretty much kind of the same, the same doom and gloom holding pattern of things. And it's like, bleh. Mm. Yeah, see, I don't even know who is. Let's go exploring together, shall we? So let me come down here. But it was funny because the main thing I was thinking about, because like one of the things is the genuine epidemic now that a lot of folks aren't seeing and they're not talking about. And I would say mainly because there's a lot of sponsorships happening, especially in the influencer world. But online gambling is like going nuts now because it's like easily accessible everywhere. And I think it's for however it works, there's a way to like circumvent any like particular state, maybe even federal laws when it comes to gambling. So there you go. Morning to you, Damien. Glad to see you, buddy. Glad you showed up. Do the best you can as you can, man. So let's see. We're checking out to see. We're getting ourselves educated on the foosball. So let's see. Give me a brief rundown of the upcoming Super Bowl. Now, this used to be the Google search, but this is so much better. Because again, it will just give you everything. You don't have to deal with clicks to various sites trying to sell you stuff. But now apparently OpenAI has got ads embedded on ChatGPT, but we'll see. So we're on Super Bowl 60. Can you imagine a world in which there was no such thing as a Super Bowl? I can't, because I'm not 61 or older. It's the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. It's a rematch from a decade ago. Is that really a rematch, though? You know, that's one of the things I find so interesting when it comes to like teams and fandoms and everything. It's like, okay, it's the major league, you know, the major brand. They're the ones who are like doing the thing, right? And so it's the team spirit. But if it's a decade ago, if you want it to be a true rematch, in my opinion, you have to bring back the exact same players from 10 years ago. Now that would make it more interesting. Plus, you know, as again, it's like I'm not a prude when it comes to that, and I'm not or anything. I just don't get into it. But I know that whenever I have tuned in, the way so much of the face of the game has changed as far as like the way the on-screen graphics work. To where they've got, I remember the first time I had seen it, I was just blown away. Like the on-screen graphics, like marking the downs, and it's, you know, it's that the players are overlaying, or should I say, the markings are laid under the players in real time, and that's just fascinating to me. It gives it that full video game look. It's like, okay, that's weird, but I don't know. Then also, it's like the protective gear, like with the uniforms and everything now. From what I've seen, and I'm not saying it's still not a rough and tumble sport, but they're pretty protected nowadays. It's almost like they're wearing modern, you know, armor. So it's like, not that I would want to see those guys get hurt, but the crunching of the helmets now, it doesn't have the impact of like, 20 years ago. It's like when like you'd see Joe Montana get leveled, he got leveled, that was type of thing. Oh my goodness. Yep. So anyway, I don't know, but what else is particularly interesting? Bad Bunny is the halftime show. What? I thought it was going to be Kid Rock. I don't know. I thought Kid Rock. Well, let's find out the pop culture side of things. Nope. I thought I know I don't talk and type when I'm normally doing that, but since we're doing this, I am. I thought Kid Rock was doing the halftime. Let's get clarity and clarification, shall we, kids? Because everybody was all up in arms. Yep. Here we go. Kid Rock is not doing the official halftime show. See now in all the headlines that were spinning out there, that's the way they made it. They framed it. Official, blah, blah, Bad Bunny. I don't know who that is. I think I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you who Bad Bunny is. Is it like the Energizer Bunny from a parallel universe? The All-American halftime show with Turning Point USA. Oh, and Kid Rock is going to be at that thing. Okay, it's a non-NFL show. Okay, that clarifies that and all the things going on with TPUSA. If you're not familiar, TPUSA was the organization that was started by Charlie Kirk, and he would do the campus tours, promoting a conservative message and debating folks, let them speak, and then, again, it's free speech in America, rock and roll, man. So, anyway, okay, so that clears that up a lot. All right, now I get it. All right, so it's funny to think the lines of division, you know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, it's just amazing. So a second halftime show is going to be over here. Okay. But how many people are going to really do that? If you're watching the football game and you're all into the game, the feel, the whole thing that, oh, we're to the halftime show, the big giant commercial break of it all. But let me tune over here just for that part, for this guy doing his thing here, and then I'll click back over to the game. That doesn't seem like a thing to me. I don't know. There's like something to try to push that's just, I don't know. Yeah, see, that's me. I don't really have a whole lot of interest. Is what it is. But anyway, it's been a very good and productive week and a lot of wonderfully serendipitous things happening on my end. And got a new project I've been brought into here locally that is really, I'm pretty excited about it because kind of nutshell thing is there's nutshells are kind of hard to explain sometimes because they're in my head it's not complex but it's big and it's like trying to like summarize it to where it's like long, I guess the long story short of it. Anyway, there's a fella who purchased the most historic hotel in town, the 1929 Hotel Seville. Anyway, he had gotten word that I was kind of like the guy to talk to about promotions and marketing and such. And he and I, we met yesterday, had a great conversation. His vision for the place to actually bring live music as a thing and a scene and a hub and a spot. I think he's got a great plan and to bring some real cool music. He's got definitely a leaning towards country music, and his band is phenomenal. And he himself is the front man on the band. They're really good stuff. So, but anyway, to encourage the music scene around here and give Harrison, Arkansas, a thing to be proud of and something for people to do. And so Alicia and I, we went out last night to kind of just get a feel on the vibe of everything because it's great. The 1929 Hotel Seville, obviously, open to the public in 1929. Is a fantastic and beautiful structure. Back in the days when, people built things to last and to look pretty darn cool. Yeah, this is one of those places. And so I love that from the historical standpoint. And I've done things at the Seville over the past 18 years. But I don't know, this is kind of cool. This is like the first time I've worked, I'll be working hand in hand with the owner of the property. And, I don't know, really cool stuff. So I'm looking very forward to that. Thank you, Gar. I appreciate that, buddy. So yeah, so we're going to be doing some fun stuff, and I'll be talking about it in the show too because it's giving me an opportunity for like all the stuff that is like, and this is where I got to give credit to Scott Adams when it comes to when you approach your goals. Kind of, okay, the end destination is great, but instead of just getting hung up on goals, create systems to get you to the goals because then that means in every step toward the goal you're actually really, you're getting wins every day as far as like you're building out your skills and your skill stack to where you're learning every day, you're adding things to your repertoire, and you might figure out new things along the way in doing that. And so since the goal is way over here, it can be a defeating thing, and that's kind of like why New Year's resolutions kind of fall flat, because it's like you come out of the box hot. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to stop smoking clove leaves or whatever else it is you're deciding to kick at the beginning of the year. But it's far off. It's the process that gets overlooked, and when you forget that there's a process in doing those things, it can be discouraging and people quit. But if you build up systems to, more so than just steps, but systems to get to the goal, it's more productive. It really is. And so, and having forced myself back out into the world by way of this morning coffee talk podcast, which I'm, definitely ape the idea from Scott, to do something like this for consistency's sake and just getting back in front of a camera and talking to folks. It's been good. And it's also encouraged me to learn more about how the OBS system works, the automation systems inside of the OBS systems that you can use for like creating a 24/7 YouTube channel. Here's a hint. That little skill that I picked up in this process, I'm going to implement for the hotel's marketing and promotion. What exactly that looks like, it'll look like when you go to their, oh, that's the plan right now anyway, is that when you go to their YouTube channel, just be a 24/7 stream of content derived from the hotel, but treating it not like a ongoing forever commercial. Instead, producing locally based inside of the hotel shows, like a travel show, like a food show, because they've got, they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner open to the public. And of course, the live entertainment aspect, which is the owner's primary focus for the hotel to be, right? So it's a spot, thinking like along the lines of like, if you ever watched Larry's Country Diner on CMT, or perhaps the Gene Williams Lucas Oil show that was a syndicated thing out of Branson, and things along those lines. So I'm looking very forward to that. And the really coolest part, oh, you Indonesian clove cigarettes, yes, those were something weird. They had that funny smell to them too. I remember those things. But yeah, but this is cool, man. I'm looking very forward to it because it's a new role for me, believe it or not. Because in this particular outing and partnership and whatever term you want to use there, this is like the first time in Harrison, Arkansas that I don't have to do it all. Because in the past, I had to like, somebody wanted to like do a thing, then they're like, hey, let's do this thing. I'm like, all right, that sounds great. And they're like, you know how to do all this? And I'm like, well, I guess so. So I would do it all. I would build the event, I would host the event, I would promote the event, et cetera, so on and so forth. And then with no budget to work with, I would literally be the one doing everything. I wouldn't have a staff to work with, a budget to work with, but pulled it off and had a lot of fun. So, but now he's got a great staff in place on all the different fronts. So it's like I get to wear a hat, and that's awesome. And it's weird. Honestly, it's a very weird sensation and feeling to be able to do a thing versus having to do everything. So I'm looking forward to actually being able to have that type of creative focus to get the word out about the hotel. Because again, the big thing is the place is beautiful, and it's one of those things for people who are travelers who like to check out the most local color you can get when you go through. So this is not hating on the chains at all, but it's kind of cool when you get the opportunity to take the, well, they call them now the spurs, the business spurs that actually take you through the old part of town, the downtown districts, and be able to get a taste of that old architecture and the flavors of a place versus just the big box cookie cutter stuff, which has got its place too. But it's going to be fun putting that stuff out there. Yeah, da 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 da. Well, so yeah, there you go. And what you're saying there when it comes to the steps aspect of it, Damien. The idea of going in systems is very similar to that, but here's the difference. The difference between like the systems versus just the steps to a goal is that the system itself becomes a process that becomes a habit, like a good habit. Sort of like, okay, say you're going to do a podcast, and I'll look at it while modernizing the idea of like a radio show. back in the day. Now, say I was going to have a regular feature, like I would want to have an author on once a week or something. Well, creating a system to like read a book a week at least to be able to be prepped and ready for to either research and find the author or to be ready for that author's show after we book him or her. And it's a system. Again, it's a habit that becomes a healthy thing. But if it doesn't work and it doesn't click, you've done that part so you can move on to something else inside of those steps. But you've created something that gives you something a little bit more valuable with your time that you invested. So you see what I'm saying? So it's a little different there. So dun 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 dun. Bum, 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 bum. Just kind of keeping up. Yeah, so there you go. So you guys had a theater there built in 1928. See, and that's the way it is here with the Lyric Theater. It's funny because like all of the bigger, more historic structures in downtown Harrison, Arkansas, such as the Lyric Theater and the Montgomery Ward Building, the 1929 Hotel Seville, those all that whole area just it was its economic boom time, and I think going into the Depression, right? Fascinating stuff to look at all of those things because, and that's another thing too. Like when we look back historically at stuff, like the way the Great Depression, the way it's presented to us is it was like everyone across the country was utterly destroyed by it, hard times for everyone. When that wasn't necessarily the case, certain parts of the country weren't impacted as much as other parts of the country. And, but it's interesting the way it's framed in one big giant thing. Because I know here in this region and like in the state of Arkansas and just, again, the region, when it comes to things that roll out, it's more of a ripple effect. So say something happens in the markets and it all is a big crash. Nowadays, everything is so connected that it does get felt here sooner, but it is still slower than what it looks like the grand apocalypse in a moment, So I don't know, but that's, cool. Yep. I don't know, but like I say, it's been interesting to think, and it was funny because another thing that was really neat last night, I had like, because again, I was going for the sake of just kind of getting the full vibe of the place itself, not exactly the event, but it was, it was just feeling the vibe because again, I get to go into full writer mode right now because I want to tell those stories that would then translate into what one could best describe as a network television show. That's the best way I can describe it. It'll make more sense once you see it. But that's basically what's happening inside of my head right now. So I'm like scripting out what the different shows would be at the different times of day and everything. Because again, that YouTube live stream thing, I think it's fun because it gives you the opportunity to build out, especially with it being what it is, as far as a hotel with a live entertainment music venue to push. It gives the opportunity for it to have more reach on a national and even global level, and then be able to pull those bits and pieces for the marketing and promotion stuffs for socials to go out, right? Anyway, build that grassroots thing, the digital grassroots. But yeah, but again, it was funny because they were having a karaoke night last night, and the KJ, the karaoke jockey, really nice fella, and it was so funny. I had like the weirdest, wildest, I would call it like 4D deja vu in a way, because the fella, again, probably about 20 years younger than me since I'm old now, but he looked, I was like, at first I was like, man, this guy looks familiar. But he looked so much like a buddy of mine that was like my partner in radio crime back in the day. That, I mean, we ran hard together in our early days of the career and everything. We had a lot of fun and the things that you did. Very glad that there wasn't social media, right? And smartphones and all that evidence making stuff. But he looked so much like him. And then whenever we were getting ready to go and got the chance to finally say hi and really got to look at him, like, wait a minute. And he told me his name. And he had the exact same name. No, not the last name, but his first name was the same name. And he looked just like him. It was the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, where am I? When am I? Why am I old now and you're not? That's not, what the hell happened here? Are you drinking adrenochrome? What's going on, dude? So, yeah, it was wild. So, anyway, but that was kind of a cool thing. But again, this is like a new role for me, believe it or not. But it is. It's all the same stuff I do and have done, but it's a different role to play, and I like it a lot. It's just because it's like, dude, I can be like uber super creative in this thing. Wow, that's awesome. Without having to go through some of the other things that I would have to do in the past. I'm looking very forward to it. So we're going to be working that over the next couple of days, getting things mapped out, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And the guy has such a fantastic, I'm speaking like just in the pronoun aspect because as I get more ingrained, I'll say names specifically. But it's like he's got a great vision. And Damien, I'm sure you'll be able to appreciate this because something that you may not know and other people most likely don't know is that, again, he's got the kitchen open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. But then, like for the bar area, the bar foodie things, they run into like midnight, I do believe. So it's like, wow, that's awesome because now one of the biggest things that's missing in Harrison, Arkansas, for all the little coffee shops that have popped up, there's nowhere to go have a cup of coffee at night. You know, that thing you could go and sit down and have a cup of coffee. Well, there you can. You've got the ballroom area, which is the dining area, that you could go in and have coffee and chat. That to me is huge. Bigger than food, bigger than a bar, bigger than the live entertainment. To have a place to sit down and have a conversation over a cup of coffee in the evening hours, I think is great. I really do. I think that is fantastic. And so, yep. But I'm looking forward to it. And I also like to have the idea for myself personally to have a place to meet up with people again that is just a little bit more comfortable and plugged in to a place. It just is because as you can see, I'm doing everything now out of my office at the home, and it's not that well. I'm not a recluse per se, but my home is my fortress, and I like having my walls. You know, so to be able to just sit in the lobby at the hotel to chat with folks, I like that a lot. So I don't know. And that's the thing too. See, I don't have to be a personality in this endeavor. I think that's the biggest thing. That in this endeavor, I'm just creating. I'm in the producer role, and that's pretty different, man. It's been a long time since I've just been the producer guy and have that anonymity behind the creations versus having to be the guy on the camera and all of that. Saying I'm good with that. This is like if there is an itch in that I need to scratch, we do it every morning with 8 o'clock with coffee boys, and that's I need that part. That's part of me, right? But I don't like the idea of always having to be like the face of stuff because I don't want to be. It's like I'm not that ego driven. Don't want it at all. So yeah, pretty wild. But yeah, so that's what's been going on. And then also today may be the day that I actually get the opportunity to, because at first it was a technical glitch and then it became just scheduling to have that conversation with U.S. Senate candidate Micah Ashby. I think we've got it to where we're going to work it out today, to where we're going to be able to have that conversation and put it out there for folks so they can get to know who she is. And that's one of the things inside of the political process that's, I'm not being political when I want to talk to these folks. It's a matter of getting them awareness that's very hard to get nowadays, especially inside of that camp. It is remarkably hard to get attention when you don't have like the matching budget of the ones who have those uber super multi-million-dollar budgets for promotion and things, and access. Because it's not like she's getting the call, which I think she should, from all of the major outlets. Like if a Fox or CNN or ABC or NBC, any major outlet hosts, and it's very directional and intentional to where if you have like an incumbent who is running for one of the major offices in DC, I think there needs to be some equal airtime rules applied there to where those underdog candidates get the opportunity for that national exposure just because. Even though it's different, I understand that, but they frame it to where it's like, well, we're leaning on Senator Longtimer here, and because he has a perspective, because he's Senator Longtimer, he's been here a long time, and he's done all these things. Yeah, but let's also be real. You'll see those folks pop up closer and closer to the election cycle to get them to FaceTime, and that to me is, if I believed in the word fair and the idea of a fair thing, it's not fair at all. Because again, it's like, it's just such a machine, and that's what shows the machine, you know? But yeah, so I don't know, it's pretty cool. And just like really cool. I'm very, very, very excited about the things to come because I get to create again and work with people who want to work. That's the other X factor on things. And working with people who want to work is that sounds silly, but it's not. It's like there are plenty of people who've approached me over the years who, while they may wanted me to like do all the heavy lifting on things, which I was cool with, but they wanted literally to just get completely away from the whole thing. And in doing so, I would be in a role where I would have to take it more personally because, well, I'm the deliverable here. And not that I don't take any of this very seriously and very much it matters. But it's no, it's a team. And this team is awesome because one of the things that's like, as we were discussing and talking and going through things, and as I was talking to more of the staff just kind of floating around, um, these folks are staying there. They've been there. It's like the retention rate is amazing. You've got people who've been there 1, 2, 5, 8, 10, 15 years. That's huge in the modern world. So that says a lot about all the people who are there to where you've got um, sustainability, especially in something that involves the service industry. And man, I applaud that a lot. But that says a lot about the overall climate. I think that's fantastic. Oh man. Ah, yep. So anywho, so which one of you guys is cutting out? So, oh well, Damien, go enjoy the doctors. Watch the traffic. As you know, it's gone kind of crazy out there. Oh no, the 15 years thing. You're just talking about like folks who, like some of the staff there at the hotel. They've been there for like 15 years and plus, and that's huge. I mean, it really, and in today's climate and world, finding people who have that much longevity in a place, I applaud that. I do, but it also says a lot, about that particular person's ethic, and as well as that the situation wasn't so bad. Well, has maintained well enough to where they didn't just lose people left and right. And the housekeeping, yeah, not necessarily the restaurant is a different story because it's like it's went through the hotel throughout the years that it's been in operation that I've been here is that the kitchen area, the restaurant area would be like leased out to an outside firm to run it. But there are some that have maintained along the way in those changes and everything because it would be like a totally different theme thing. So, well, see, the thing is, though, man, it's like a job is a job these days. That is true in a lot of ways because I don't think people, it's very seldom that I run into someone out here in the public sector doing things that, okay, say you go to McDonald's, you get your first job at McDonald's, right? It's either one of two things. It's a starting point. Well, it used to be, let me put it like that. Let me reframe that. It was either a starting point or you got introduced to a genuine career path, right? Because there's no shame in being growing your way up in the ranks of, say, a fast food restaurant. Because once you get up to that level, the pay is a livable wage that's not bad with great benefits and everything else, right? But that's the career path of things. Nowadays, though, and for a long while, long, long while, I'm not going to throw this generation under the bus or anything like that because that's stupid because it started with Gen X. But when it becomes just a job and a thing, just to make the money, there's no connection there. There's no heart going into the effort that you're putting out, and it shows. There's like no pride in the brand, if you will. But that I don't know how much of that is by design or just by evolution of societal thought. But I know the folks who worked in fast food forever, especially in our days, everybody got the ball busting as far as like, oh, you want fries with that? You know, but at the same time, there was still that level of personal pride. But I honestly think that really started fading out by the 90s, where like when you go back and you look at and talk to the folks who worked in those industries as they started to come about and evolve, that there was a pride to be there. If you went to work at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever in those early days, as that brand was building from the franchises and eventually becoming the global juggernauts that they are, there was still that there was a pride in the brand. It's like you were glad to be working for McDonald's. And you appreciated their system and stuff. But I just don't think that's there now. It's just a job that doesn't pay great, and in many instances, uh, it's just I don't know. Because again, another thing too is the way people don't the average person who utilizes the places, right, who patronize or patronize, it's patronizing and patronizing. Funny how those are interchangeable, but how they give the fast food folks so much crap, like almost like they're talking to them as if they are, the peasant servers and peasant servants. And that is just so disgusting to me because number one, you don't piss off the cook, right? Don't, that's never a good idea. It will not play out well. But people going through the drive-through, I've seen it so many times that they have like this entitlement thing, but it's kind of a, I don't know how much of it was hand in hand evolution to where the orders just at one point, I know there was one of the McDonald's here where you could guarantee if you went through the drive-through, your order was going to be wrong. Just was. It was like it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Um, so that can be frustrating for the customer, but that turns into like a spiral thing, and that spiral turns into a mutual disrespect from between the customer and the employee, and that's terrible. But that's where it is, man. I don't know, but it's interesting to see and to watch and to observe. I don't know the weird state of society. And of course, everything is changing so much because everything is happening under the hood, right? It's like all of the systems that we use with the AI aspect of things, which it's automation. More than artificial intelligence, it's automation intelligence because that's really what it's doing. It's not smart. It just has a ginormous data set that allows it to do, I don't want to say menial, but at the same time, the lower impact tasks that can be, if you are just working the keyboard with numbers and letters, that's all data stuff. And now they've just perfected well, almost perfected the software systems that run automated. And so it's less about artificial intelligence as it is automated intelligence. And society has always been that way. Anything that, could replace, take away more of the physical effort and friction of doing stuff, you're going to use it. That's about it. See, and that's exactly it, man. Respect for both sides. Let me make sure. There's supposed to be a message coming through. I just want to make sure I don't miss that. But it has not come through yet. But yeah, it's been a very good week. And like I say, I'm looking very forward to doing this campaign and future campaigns because it looks to be a lot of fun. And it gives people something that we need again. Because one of the things that's been the very slowest like recovery from 2020 is people congregating and making those human connections at places and doing things. And that could be a little tough the way the economic situation is right now because, what's oh gosh, like, your impulse purchases, the extra money when there's no such thing as extra cash on either side of it, right? But to be able to, disposable income, as they call it, the disposable income is a lot leaner now. So I'm hoping that in my efforts that, on all sides of things, that people can see the value they get in participating in things at a place that's not home. And then that side of it, delivers the goods, to give people an experience to make, or an opportunity to make memories. And that to me is like super uber huge. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, just getting caught up here. Yeah, see, there you go. It's like you think about how far we have come. Like when you watch, and for the younger folks in the audience who may not be familiar at all with the old television show Green Acres, the way that you would literally have to, they would have to do some serious science and math, man, to get things to work without blowing stuff up. Um, that's funny that that new machine is drawing more juice because most of the newer stuff seems to be a lower energy load. So that's interesting. So that's kind of a bummer that you're throwing a breaker whenever you're using the thing. That's crazy. 35 minutes into the 8 o'clock hour on a Friday morning. Wow, in February, no less. Yeah, but it's been quite the week, and one I've truly been grateful and thankful for. Hiccups and all that came along because I don't mind the hiccups anymore when things get a little sideways because again, hiccups make you creative. They make you figure things out, and well, you get creative in your necessities to do things. That's the way I've always seen it. It's like, um, again, a great book I recommend is Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew, where it's his production diary when he was working on his very, very first film, El Mariachi, his super uber low budget thing that, he part of the money came from him just submitting himself for medical testing so he could get $3,000 to be able to afford to make the film. That in and of itself is just great, right? Because he decided he was going to do it, and then he built an incredible career after that. Because El Mariachi, the first one, is great. It's all Spanish language, but the story is there. You don't have to speak the language to watch an action movie. It's perfect, as far as that goes. But then, of course, everything that grew from it, the sequel. Well, you had the English remake, and then you had the sequel Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. No, wait, no, they didn't remake El Mariachi. Excuse me, pardon me, that was misinformation. So the first English film was Desperado with Antonio Banderas as the mariachi, and those are great. And then, of course, his Spy Kids series of films, those are fun. And gosh, so much other stuff. And the things that he paired up with Quentin Tarantino to work on, because they were all part of that '90s new cinema that emerged. And so, yeah, that's kind of cool. Another thing that just kind of thinking about, because and I was glad that it showed up in my YouTube recommendations, because I think most Star Wars fans have known this now for a long time, that if not for George Lucas's first wife, Marcia, we wouldn't have Star Wars, because she fixed it. She was an editor, and she fixed it, because the original cut that George had put together and the other editors had put together, it was a boring run of drivel and 3-hour runtime, and it was just bad. But she got to the heart of the story and cut that bad boy up, and we have Star Wars now. But it's a newish, I say newish, I'd just seen it here recently, but I think it was recorded in 2022, where she actually sat down to really kind of, I guess you say, share her reflections. More so, it's not a tell-all thing. It's just sharing her reflections on the whole thing, because George was pretty much a douche. Because, well, it was two human beings in a marriage that fell apart, and George was very hurt. And as such, he decided that he would just erase her. And he pretty effectively did for a long time throughout the 80s, to where she didn't get the credit that she totally, absolutely earned and deserved for her work on Star Wars. And of course, that's all, it's not happening now, because you can't hide that. And I don't know, but it's cool hearing her perspective on the process and the time. And she's not hateful about the way things went between her and George, and her kind of being erased by George on a lot of things, when she was there. She was there before George Lucas became the George Lucas, before American Graffiti, and supporting each other through the really hard times, the tough times, the lean times, and growing together and eventually growing apart. But, it's like that's very important, and to hear that. And I'm glad somebody captured that. But yeah, look up Marsha Lucas. It's it should be one of the first things that pops up, because it's a 2-hour interview, I think, maybe a little longer. But I found it great. Again, from a filmmaking standpoint, her perspective from making films at that time, because that was a big generational shift in filmmaking. You figure, because you had George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, and that era of the filmmakers that transformed what Hollywood was doing then into what we got to enjoy throughout the 80s with our big budget blockbusters, such as you start with Jaws, and then you go forward with Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then everything else, the Godfather, and all those flicks that evolved into like just some great storytelling on the screen. That's now shifted again. But yeah, it's been interesting. Oh, see, you don't know much about Star Wars. See, there you go. So it's a fascinating story. It really is, because it just shows that there are humans that are in the process of making films. And again, I do get a kick out of listening to definitely more of those old school filmmakers, which I don't like the idea of calling them old school, because I was alive. But when you hear their perspective on a film, because it's different than the audience's perspective and the fandom's perspective, because they were the meat and potatoes of it all. So it was like the job aspect, and I can relate to that a lot, right? But there's just so much difference. Again, when people only see the final product, and don't think about all the things that went into the sausage, if you will, it's such a different perspective. For everybody's like, oh, that was so brilliant. And then you talk to the guy or gal who came up with the sound effect or made the particular edits or the camera work or whatever. There's like, it was a ginormous pain in the ass to get that, you know, or I think my first experience of that was actually in high school and the journalism department. And I got tasked with doing a story on like the history of the school's logo and colors because nobody had really captured that, which I found interesting, or there wasn't anything really there wasn't anything to really document that process. So I went deep diving and trekking down like the first head coach of the football team because he was the one who had came up with it. And it was funny because where I went to high school, Wilbur D. Mills High School, named after the senator from Arkansas. I think he was a senator or representative anyway. Um, got scandalous in his career with a lady by the name of Fannie Fox. But anyway, Wilbur D. Mills High School, our mascot was a comet, which was unique because it was a comet and not an animal of some sort. And then the colors were green and gold, as we were rah-rahed into. Um, but I've tracked down the original head coach from I guess it was 1969, when the school opened. It was right before the school opened. And they called him and said, well, what are these colors going to be, man? And he said, well, he was watching the Green Bay Packers on television. And that was it. He just said, green and yellow. Of course, yellow got morphed into gold, so it was far more prestigious. But yeah, it was like he was just watching a Packers game. He was drinking a beer, watching the Packers, and the phone rang and he said, yeah, green and yellow, that'll work. And then when it came to the Comet, it's like the romantic side of things would be, well, you know, we were thinking about the charging aspect across space with no worry, you know, or whatever. No, it was actually a catalog that they cut up the mascot images of and literally drew it randomly out of a hat. That's so deep. It's so symbolic. Um, but yeah, so it's so funny how the myth of things can grow like that because you take something that's such a benign, boring, random, no nothing, just necessity thing happened, but then you spin the hell out of it for the rest of its existence to where it's like, oh no, 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 no. The Union Girl they didn't represent anything other than the coach sitting at home drinking a beer watching the Packers. Green and yellow. There was no gold. Green and yellow. And the mascot just drawn out of a hat from a cut up catalog because nobody could make up their mind. Sorry to, what is it? It would be like showing the magician's hand, if you will. I don't know. I just found that funny. It was a great story. I think that was my 10th grade year that I had done that. It was my first year of journalism with the school newspaper. And so it was funny. It was like a fourth wall breaking thing. I think that's the best way to describe that. Breaking the fourth wall by removing the illusion. And so we published it, we published a story in the school paper. And I think that one got picked up by one of the two statewide papers that I was a correspondence writer for at the time too, and so it went out. Of course, no one cares anymore. Hell, I don't even care anymore. But it's a great story that I could tell. But it's not like it changed the world. There was no Deep Throat. There was no Watergate. There was no earth-shattering, earth-shaking jab on the establishment because of the incredible in-depth reporting I did. Nah, most folks would never know, and the myth took back over, and everybody's happier with that anyway, and I don't blame them. So, but that's just me. 44 minutes into the 8 o'clock hour, double checking for a message. Because again, I got a thing, and hopefully we can get that in the can, because I hope that happens. Because again, when it comes to like doing the political stuff, this is not like it's not part of a business plan. It's not part of any of it. It's just my personal feelings toward providing some type of civic service to people because, you know, the world's changed and not nobody. But it is funny. I'm seeing a lot of folks who, I'm not going to say are copycatting me here locally, but I do find it interesting that once your old buddy Jimbo kind of popped his head up again and decided to do this just because, I see other people capitalizing on the idea. Yeah, but it's, you know what? Everybody does it. Nothing new. Elections get media attention. But I find the timing suspect and funny. But again, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And if they're offended by what I just said or said I'm making it up, thanks for watching. Take some notes. See, not me, man. Yeah. Yeah, a redo. That would be good. You can go back and start all over. But I don't know. I just it's I love this coffee time. I do because it's like I'm barely awake when we start, even if I get up early because the mind is racing into so many things, and of course got to take care of the critters, all that fun stuff. But it's kind of a nice way to jumpstart things. And again, getting myself into this role of talking into a camera, and with you and Damien Gar the Ghoul, host of Horrible Horror Saturday nights on Twitch TV, as my primary chat buddies, this is cool for me. I like this a lot. And anybody who comes along now or later, great, join the conversation, have some fun, because we're just chatting and kicking off our day and showing that we're not alone in this big digitally connected universe of things now. So, yep. Yep. Oh yeah, it's just the pinky thing. I can't help it. It's like a thing. It's like the story of the pinky. If anybody cares, the story of the pinky. If you see me anywhere and I'm drinking anything, the pinky always goes up. Why? It's not a matter of being fancy. It's not a matter of a poser thing in any manner. It's actually a thing that I picked up by observing my dad when I was little, and Dad did that. But the reason my dad did it was early on, probably around 80, 81, like there in that early part of Little Jim, where I'm picking up all the final pieces of the puzzle of the habits and such that I'll have forever. But I noticed that Dad was doing that. And so I guess I just started kind of mimicking Dad. But what had happened with Dad, again, he wasn't trying to be proper. By no means was Harold Edward the proper type. But he had actually got his hand crushed and a carbon packer at the Coca-Cola bottling plant that he worked at forever until 88. But anyway, his hand had got crushed. So when he did in the healing process, so whenever he picked anything up, it just, he had like function and everything. But whenever he picked up something to drink, that pinky went up because the tendons, ligaments, all that stuff got jacked up when he got crushed in that carbon packer. So it's just a habit. That's just the thing. But I have noticed, though, in my own hands over the years, and used them for all the clicky stuff and and I guess there's a surgery that could fix things. But I know me, like to do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown, I can't do it like normally, where you go like index, middle, and ring finger to do the 1, 2. So I can't do it. But so what I have to do is if you see me do a countdown like with my hand or whatever, like a 1, 2, and then 3, because I can't get these to operate with this one up. it's both hands too. That's what's really weird. So it'll be a 1, 2, 3. Not trying to be fancy. It's just one. So if I go 1, 2, can't get that damn ring finger up anymore. But if I've got the pinky down, can't do it. It's just like, that's just kind of the way the biology of Jim and the physiology of Jim has evolved over time. So 1, 2, 3. But I can't do 1, 2. I can't do it. And now it's documented forever. So there you go. Little things like that. Yeah. So can't do it. It's funny. And I don't know when it really happened, as far as like when that part of the body started to do different things than it's supposed to do, but it did. And anywho, so yeah, it's interesting. Little things. It's like a behind the scenes thing. That's for whatever reason, my goodness. Da 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 da. See, there you go. Yeah, it's like the little things that, again, that like they're a thing that happened once upon a time, but the butterfly effect isn't seen until way later. And so the original thing that caused the thing, you just didn't know. There you go. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna wrap it up. 49 minutes into the 8 o'clock hour. That means 11 away from 9, kids. Don't you love the radio speak? I know I do. But it's, like I said, the whole thing started off with talking about how online gambling is not a great thing to get involved in, kids. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I will tell you, it's so easy. It's designed to trap you just as much as any type of gambling thing was. But the thing is now, with it being on your phone and it's so gamified, that it's so easy for people to get sucked into something that they themselves may not have realized they were getting themselves sucked into. So that was the lead-in pre-show song, and I'm going to play out with it too. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. My dad could too. Even after the hand crushing thing, he could still like pop that egg whenever you did the thing. I finally figured out the trick to it myself, to where it's like just where you put just that right amount of pressure in there to do the thing. But anyway, well, my friend, my amigo, incredible host of Horrible Horror on Twitch TV, Gar the Ghoul, buddy, I will catch you later. We'll do it again in the morning if you can make it while you're doing your show prep and everything. Yeah, There you go. Everybody be careful with the gambling thing. I'm going to play out with that tune once again. They came together in the span of less than 15 minutes before the show today because technology does have its wins where you're doing just silly, funny, throwaway stuff like radio always was. But there we are. Anyway, have a great one, man. We'll talk to you guys later.
I was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Bet a buck, harvest wealth, that's a lie. They spin, I sign my soul away just to let the wolf in. First surge was surgical, a chemical high. Now I'm chasing goals across a blue-lit sky. Claimed I wasn't desperate, then I liquidated life. That's how a man turns a future into a knife. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Then the screen bled black with a velvet sheen, a loading bar stuttering predatory. Pick a silhouette of birds and a pinch drop of whistles, with a voice like a grift and a tongue full of whistles.
Salutations, he hissed, I'm Donnie. Hard to check the craving and I engineer the high. You've been mainlining hope on a high, it's low. Now I've come to repossess everything you own. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Austerity's recreation, control. Peter I've got a message from the very she stole. So my son's merged with power is a relic. He sneered with a grin. I've mapped every fixture and I'm calling right in. One tap for the needle, two taps